Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mosensia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People, based upon a real-life relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamosensia.com and www.amazon.com/Mia
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mian Moshe Zia of No Time for Love, called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon, other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, Audible. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful author who's from St. Genevieve City, Missouri, and he's the 5th of 10 children. He served in the U.S. Army back in the 60s and joined the Lincoln, Illinois Police Force, and he's been appointed Chief of Police in Mason City, Illinois, and later runs Brewster Investigations. He's got a book out now called The Road to Floradixie, and he's also wrote The Hungary A Long Winter's Night, and The Great American Novel. And he's a terrific novelist, courtesy of Beacon Publishing. And live, ladies and gentlemen, Fun Plus Studios, somewhere in beautiful land of Lincoln, the very, very talented author, Tom Brewster. Tom, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike.
Hello. Yes, it's great to have you on, and you've got an impressive resume. So you grew up in St. Genevieve City, Missouri. Back in the 40s or so, you're the fifth of 10 children. You served in the U.S. Army in the 60s. You joined the Lincoln, Illinois Police Force, and you've been appointed chief of police in Mason City, Illinois, and later run Brewster Investigations. You also got a book out called The Road to Floradixie, which is available on Amazon and Beacon Publishing. Also, The Hung Jury, A Long Winter's Night, The Great American Novel, and you just have an amazing story. And before getting to all that, tell us how you first got started, Tom.
Well, I was at the state's attorney's office. I was a investigator there. I'd been a police officer for several years, and I had been involved in an arrest where I arrested a young college student, and he ended up murdering several of the witnesses, and he was stalking me. And it made an impression on me, and I always thought that I'd like to write a book about it. And when I went to work at the state's attorney's office, I spent some of my time writing that book. And when I got finished with it, I sent it out to different publishers, tried to get it published. And I had at least one publisher contacted me, and they wanted me to publish with them, but there was going to be some money that was involved. And I thought any book good enough to be published, you should make money on it, not spend money on it. And I didn't feel that it was going to take me anywhere like that. So I put the book away, and it was shelved for 25 years.
Wow.
And my daughter, who was 10 years old when I wrote it, she could get that published. She thought it was a good book, and she bought a package with iUniverse, which is a self-publishing company. And so she came back to me and she said, I'd like for you to sign this because you have to okay it because you're the author. We can't get it published. She said, and I wanted to do this and surprise you for your birthday.
Wow.
And I read the book over again. I thought, no, it's too outdated. I don't want to get, I don't want to do it because it's just not there. But I told her, I said, I'll write you another book instead, and then you can use that package for that. So I wrote this book called The Great American Novel because, it about a guy that dreamed about writing the Great American Novel and the problems that he went through to get that. And the book was really well received, so it sort of put me into the, thinking that I actually could write well enough to be published. So I wrote another book, and it was published. And then I wrote a third book, and it was published. And then I decided, well, I really do need to try to get a better publishing company. And that's when I came to Beacon Publishing Group, who are really great. And I wrote the Road to Floradixie, and they accepted it and published it. And it came out on actually on 9/11.
Oh, and, my goodness. Wow.
But that was coincidental. Coincidentally, the book is about. It starts regarding the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center, and so it was timed just right. But the date of publishing really didn't have anything to do with. We didn't coordinate that. It just worked out that way.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds it just kind of worked out that way as well too. And what was that one precise moment that influenced you into writing?
Well, whenever you were involved in criminal cases, and there's some things you just can't get past. They just sit on your mind. And this incident where this young college student that I arrested had murdered the witnesses and had stalked me, and we ended up, getting case together, and he put him away for the rest of his life. But, you sit and you dwell on that kind of stuff, and that was the moment that I decided that I wanted to write. And I wanted to write that story, my thoughts, throw it up against the wall, see what people thought about it. And so I thought of myself at that point as a writer. And even though sometimes I think well, I'm not really a writer. I've written 4 books, and most people spend their lives writing. And but anyway, I'm in that mindset that I'm a writer now. I've written a couple of I think, really good books, and I thought The Road to Floradixie was the best that I've written. There's been people that would argue with me. They've read about it because they've read the others and they like them too.
Mm-hmm.
The Road to Floradixie was my personal favorite. And that too, the way that the World Trade Center and the way it affected the whole country and the way it affected me and the way that I thought about it. And I wrote this book with that in mind, and I integrated all these characters and all these feelings that I would have had, and the sort of the mindset that I have about terrorism, and I included that in the book as I wrote it and finished it, and I thought that it pretty well explained my thoughts on it.
That's quite interesting because I'm going through a little bit about the book, The Road to Floradixie, The Hung Jury, Long Winter's Night, a great American novel. It seems like that one incident you had with that college student that murdered the witnesses and whatever else, it just kind of like took bits and pieces and kind of tied into all 4 of the novels.
Yeah, that's always things like that are always on my mind. It's like my wife; she can write, but she won't ever try to publish anything because she doesn't want to reveal her innermost feelings. But she says that that with me and probably with many other police officers that spent their life doing that at night when you go to bed, there are some things that you just can't get out of your mind that are there and that becomes a part of you. And that's pretty much about The Hung Jury. Everything in that book was really, touched the surface with me and got a little deeper than that. And it stayed with me all these years. And it does affect my writing. And even with the Road to Floradixie, there are some characters in there that I based on the police officers that I knew over the years, that I kind of threw that in there. And it's easy to write about when you write about things and I know about the police and I know what policemen do and how they feel and their their emotions about doing the job. So I incorporate that in my writing.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you served as police chief in Mason City, Illinois, and also you've been in the Army in the 60s. You joined the Lincoln, Illinois Police Force, and of course, about today's police, what's going on today. How's that compared to when you served back in the 60s and 70s? It's like what was it was the stress level. I'm just trying to say, was like the same, the work, or has gotten worse, or maybe some things have gotten better. So I guess the question is, it's like, how's policing different from when you served back in in about 4 or 5 decades ago?
Well, as a police officer, there are times, no matter what size community or where you work, that are really very dangerous, and you do put up a little abuse from people. But whenever I started as a police officer in Lincoln, I was 24 years old, and people at that time treated us like we were heroes. Mm-hmm. And there would be times when you'd have to go, to tavern fights and fights between husbands and wives in the residences, and people would get a little hostile with you, and you could write some traffic tickets too, and people got a little hot about that. But for the most part, people really treated us very honorably. And but I don't see that these days. I see that people are, defund the police and all that kind of stuff, and it does kind of rub me a little bit the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And I might even, in my next books, I might even incorporate some of that in there too, along with some of this COVID-19 stuff. But anyway, yeah, back in the day, people treated us with respect, and I try to keep that in mind with the guys nowadays. And when I see them, I tell them, how much I appreciate them and what a good job I think they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And they should be greatly appreciated as well, too, and the great job you do as well, too. And what inspired you to become a police officer, Tom?
Well, I really didn't have any aspiration to be a police officer at all.
Uh-huh.
It's just that I had a friend that was a policeman, and he had been recruited for the police department in Lincoln. And I ran into him one day, and he'd been on a year or so, and he said, "Why don't you ride with me? Got a program where you can ride along." And so I rode with him and met the chief of police and a couple of the detectives. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I could fit into that sort of a position. Maybe that would be what I would like to do. And I think that I'd have a handle on how to treat people. And so with that in mind, I thought, well, maybe give it a try. So I took the tests. I did all right. I passed, got on the list, and they hired me. And went off to the training institute, and by the time I came back, I thought, okay, I'm a policeman. I felt good about it then.
Mm-hmm. And you also got later appointed chief of police in Mason City, and tell us about the experience of being chief of police.
Well, being chief of police, and this was a small community, and I thought I'd give it a try, but to me, being the chief of police in a small town didn't quite fit the bill like it did with a bigger department, because you had more people to work with, more personalities, and even though you've got some pretty heavy responsibilities in those small towns, I wasn't satisfied with that, so I went ahead and got my private detective license, and I started doing investigations on the legal and law side, not for attorneys for divorces and that kind of stuff. I've avoided that like wildfire.
Oh, yes. And you know something? We'll talk about that along with your experience in the U.S. Army. We'll get back to your books in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Moshenzia of No Time for Love, called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, TuneIn, Pandora, and more. Heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author Tom Brewster of The Road to Floradixie, along with the Hung Jury, A Long Winter's Night, and the Great American Novel here on the Mike Wagner Show, and talked about some of the interesting police stories and some of the experiences we talked about as well, too. And before we talk about Brewster investigations, you served in the U.S. Army back in the 60s, and tell us about that. And what did you serve in, and what rank?
Well, I was in the U.S. Army. I was 11B-10, which was a small arms infantry soldier. And then I had really kind of a strange situation while I was in the Army. They lost my records after I finished my basic training. And I hung around the post at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then I went to Louisiana. I kind of got tired of hanging around working on the golf course and doing KP and stuff like that, so I volunteered to go to Vietnam.
Okay.
And I asked them to pull my orders and send me to Vietnam if they couldn't find anything better for me to do than that. And so I was on orders to go to Oakland, California, and ship out from there to go to Vietnam. And my family were involved in an accident, and it was fatal to my brother and sister, and my mom was in the hospital in critical condition. And so they brought me back to St. Louis, and I drove a staff car then for the duration of my time in the military. So I really didn't get to do the thing in Vietnam, and I've sort of felt guilty most of my life that I didn't get there. But then the way that war turned out, sometimes I'm happy that I didn't make it.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to ask you about that too, but then things like you said just work out for the better, or for another reason, or whatever it is. And interesting time. You'd also you've been in the police force for a while, chief of police, and you run Brewster Investigations. And tell us about that, and what actually inspired you to get into investigating, and what kind of investigating do you do in detail? Not the attorney, divorce, or everything like that, but the other investigations you're talking about.
Well, I've done a lot of mostly what we do is paper service, and then filings at the courthouse, and we more or less do the legal footwork for different agencies. But I've done a few pretty heavy hitting investigations too. I've investigated murders in the penitentiaries here in Illinois, a couple of them, and I worked on a couple of really major murder cases here in Central Illinois that were actually nationally known.
Oh, wow.
And two of them were even on HLN, but I didn't really, I really can't discuss names and places because it's like they say, private investigations. You can't really discuss it unless you're in a court setting or you're in testimony. So I can say that I've done these things, but I can't name names. But yeah, I've done the murder cases. We've done accident cases. I worked for two of the major cities here in Illinois, Bloomington and the city of Decatur, and we do a lot of legwork for them.
Mm-hmm. And what can we find Brewster Investigations at?
It's in Lincoln, Illinois. And Lincoln's right in the middle of the state of Illinois. It's right almost directly between St. Louis and Chicago. And we got Decatur, Springfield, and Peoria, and Bloomington and Normal. That's we're sort of right in the hub of all that.
Okay, that's very interesting. And what's your website for Brewster Investigations?
Tom Brewster Writes.
Brewster Writes.
Yep, TomBrewsterWrites.com.
That is amazing. And we'll talk about your books, including The Hung Jury, Long Winter's Night, The Great American Novel, and also The Road to Floradixie and more. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. Powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look on a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Motion Z of No Time for Love, called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com, over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon Audible, coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author Tom Brewster of The Road to Floradixie, along with The Hung Jury, A Long Winter's Night, and The Great American Novel on Beacon Books, as well as Amazon here on The Mike Wagner Show. The Great American Novel, this is where you set the life story, and this is your pride and joy, and maybe a little bit more detail about that. I mean, just by looking at this here, this looks like a really good book.
Are you talking about The Road to Floradixie or The Great American Novel? The Great
American Novel.
Well, yeah, The Great American Novel is actually, there's a lot of truth in there, but the truth on most of the characters, you can't libel them because you can't libel the dead. Mm-hmm. And any of the characters that I've used in that book are long since gone. But yeah, that was the book that was probably the closest to my heart, and I did self-publish that book. But since then, I reworked it a little bit, and I submitted it to a Beacon Publishing Group, and they're going to reprint that book for me. So I'm going to have that out in about a year. And, with a good publisher like Beacon Publishing Group, I'll be able, I think I'll have some success with that book too. And since that's the kind of, I don't know if it's my best book, but it's the one that gets closest to my heart. But I actually really think The Road to Floradixie would probably be the most interesting book to most people, and it's sort of the top of my list. That's the one that I favor right now above the others.
Mm-hmm. And of course, A Long Winter's Night, it's your second book as well, too, where intrigue and mystery surround a man without memory, reality, two conflicting spirits, and life-changing event as a child. And, tell us more about that one. This looks like a really gritty book.
Well, this book, the Long Winter Night, I wrote it probably 10 years ago. And my wife and I were involved in a sort of an endeavor where we had started a school down in Memphis, Tennessee, or just south of the state line in Fairhope. What was that? Fairhaven? Yeah.
Fairhaven.
But anyway, South Haven. Yeah. And we were apart at the time. She was down there because she was trying to help with the administration, and I was here still running my business. And I was up in the room all alone, and it was snowing, and I thought, boy, this is sure a long winter night. And I started thinking about all the things that went on throughout my life. And so I wrote this book, The Long Winter's Night, and I was recuperating all of these memories because the man had lost his memory in an accident. And he was incrementally recuperating the memories and incidents and the important things in his life, and took it from the time that he started to regain his thoughts and his memory to the point where he really realized what had happened. And it took me a little, and being alone and everything for that amount of time, I pretty much got into that book too. But it's been about 10 years now, so I haven't even read it for quite a while myself, probably 8 or 9 years. So I might have to go back and refresh my memory on that one.
Wow. Long Winter's Night. You have to have coffee on that one. I can imagine that. Whew, my goodness. Especially with the winters up here and where you're at and whatever else. And, of course, we talked about the hung jury as well, too, where this involved where the college freshman turns and murders witnesses, and this is similar. And also it's been involving police officer recurring their nightmares, shoplifting, misdemeanor case, and, again, a bit more about the book and maybe just a bit more of a tale before getting to The Road to Floradixie.
Right. This is a book. We had a pretty famous writer here in Lincoln by the name of William Maxwell. If you've heard of him, he's world famous. Mm-hmm. And there was a murder that occurred when he was just a young man here in Lincoln. And he wrote this book on the sort of the increments of the crime, but he didn't actually have any of the details. And that's sort of the way that I knew that what my part was in this hung jury. I knew what my part was, but other than that, I was a patrolman, and the detectives, they didn't contact us, and we hardly knew what was going on with it, although I did know that I was the one that arrested him, and we did know that he stalked me, and I had to, send my wife off to live with her mom for a while I stayed with one of the other police officers for my safety. And but I didn't really know what happened, so I just took that the details of that, and I made up what I thought would be a good book for all the things that happened, but I never did really even have access to all the reports. But I knew what happened, when it happened, and what happened to the offender when it was over in the trial. And I just wrote a what if sort of a book, like William Maxwell had written on the murder that occurred here when he wrote the book So Long, See You Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to make people think that the book is true, but it was based on some of the facts that occurred, sort of the incremental incidents that went with that from the time that the young man started to murder these people up to the time that he was convicted. And I just made a what if sort of a scenario there, and I wrote the book based on that.
Mm-hmm. What you talk about the what if scenarios in the book. What is an example of a what if scenario in the book?
Well, I arrested him, and he was able to actually break in. We had an old police station at the time. We were building a new one, but the old one was just, it had no security whatsoever, and it was 3 stories high. This guy was able to get to the top of that building and come down on a rope, break into a window and get into our evidence files, find out the name of the witnesses, and he went about murdering them. He murdered everybody that was involved in that case except for me. But somewhere along the line, we were able to find out that he was the offender, and we were able to put a tail on him, built the case, and then we arrested him the day that he showed up for his trial on that shoplifting case. And I built the book based on that. And then, of course, you have to insert some other interesting sort of things as far as personality and what people were doing at the time, and some of the guys and some of the incidents that we were involved in, to put the book together, to construct it so that it's interesting and just doesn't go through in a straight line, so that you are writing like a police report. I wanted it to be like an actual novel. So I added things, personalities, incidents, how the police officers got along with each other and their wives, some of the things that police officers do when they're off duty. I put all that in there to just, to make a novel of it instead of a long police report.
I don't know if I have time for long police reports and all that. They'll take up a lot of coffee, but you actually skillfully weave those in the hung jury, and you also do the same to the Floradixie, which is the most recent, and this ties into 9/11 in a way. Also, it tied into the case you've been talking about, and evening a score, and everything just all coming together, and just pretty much sum it up in a nutshell, and a little bit more about the road to Floradixie.
All right. Do you mind if I read the back of the book on this to kind of get me started on it? Because when I write, I go off in different directions and have different examples throughout the whole book. But there is sort of an overview on it, mm-hmm. and I'll read that from the book.
You sure can.
The back of the book says, there are a few things that occur in a flash that change our entire soul as a nation. One of those was 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center. In a surreal moment, even the least concerned about world affairs became totally irreversibly involved. Terrorism was instantly front and center to everyone around the globe. To some, it was more personal. Many of whom lost loved ones in the inferno at Ground Zero could not rid themselves of the need to even the score. And so then, the road to Floradixie is traveled by a magnificent man of superior intellect and strength, one who became part of a secret organization born out of the many survivors and relatives to always remember to fight terrorism in the shadows. And then along come 2 old unsuspecting retired cops who wander into this secret war, completely out of their element, ill-equipped for little more than a fishing trip. They embark on a path that ultimately destroys the sinister plot to kill every tourist on Hollywood Beach, Florida. The battle culminates at the Floradixie truck stop, the bloodshed second only to the loss of life in 9/11. And so that pretty much gives you a scenario of where it starts and where it ends. But throughout the whole book, I have these different stories that affect the characters that are in it, and it is a road to Floradixie, not just a battle at Floradixie. I start with these two guys, actually the three guys. One of the main characters is a ex-college football player that was on the fast track to the NFL, and he blew out his knee, and he ended up getting back to civilian life, and he married his childhood sweetheart. They had two daughters, and the wife and the daughters went to see the World Trade Center on 9/11, the day that it came down. And so he was just immersed in hatred. And so right from the very beginning of the book, this character, Anderson Claypool, he's a stone cold killer, and he's killing for revenge. And he's involved in several skirmishes and several incidents where he's able to stop terrorism. But the main terror plot is this one at Hollywood Beach, and he's on his way there, and he ends up being sort of introduced to these two old retired cops who are trying to collect on a $20,000 reward, and they get intertwined together. And the Anderson Claypool, the first of the main characters, he gets these guys and uses them, and they pretty well together they stop this plot where they were going to kill everybody, and then on the beach create a blood wave in the water, and then they were going to release deadly chemicals and kill everybody else. And the three of these guys, they stopped the whole thing by their ingenuity and their ability to work together to get things done.
Wow, that is one heck of a story. And I've been trying to follow this all along, where a guy, if I get this right, that his wife and two daughters go on a touring extravaganza to the World Trade Center, and then it fell, and then he just gets involved in guilt and hatred, and then he tries to find ways how to stop it, and then encounters the two police officers who are trying to coupon a reward, and then they end up stumbling on a plot that just wipe out a good portion of Hollywood Beach. That's an amazing story.
Right, and they're able to accomplish it and then get back to their old ways. I try to have a good ending on everything that I write.
Wow, that is something. Makes me want to buy the book. And where can we find the Road to Floradixie at?
Well, it's going to be in a few stores, but usually in the publishing business today, most everything goes online, and especially with COVID-19, people want to stay in. But you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, any of the major book sites online, and you can get it within a day or two.
Okay.
You can, and you can even get it at Walmart and which one with the red bullseye?
Oh, Target.
Yeah, Target. You can get it there. You can get it almost anywhere. But the best place to get it is just go online. And of course, Beacon Publishing Group, they have it, for sale. You can get it strictly through them.
Okay. Well, that sounds very good. We're here with author Tom Brewster of The Road to Floradixie and more here on the Mike Wagner Show. Tom, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. And just a few more moments here. And what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond, Tom?
Well, Beacon Publishing has got 2 books of mine right now. We're on contract, and they'll be coming out within a year. And my contact person, my publisher, he tells me don't try to do any releases ahead of time, because Beacon Publishing is better at that than I am. But I got a couple more books that are already done, and they're already out there to be published within a year.
That is amazing. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career, Tom?
Oh, my wife, of course.
And that's
You think I'm crazy?
Well, you can throw in some other people too. I mean, it's okay. You can rattle off several other people if you like. You're not limited to just one, Tom. You can rattle off as many as you like. Yeah. Even a king scroll if you have to. You got time.
Well, I will tell you though, the biggest influence on me to write was my boss when I was the investigator for the state's attorney's office, Roger Thompson. He just wouldn't accept anything except for the best out of everybody. And when you wrote him a report, it really had to be good. So when I worked for him, I thought I've just got to write better. And so I've polished my report writing, and from doing good report, people told me, man, you ought to write a book. And so I think Roger really influenced me to write the best that I could, and he influenced me in that way.
That is so amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
If you like to write, don't give up, because it's hard to get published. I mean, you can go out and you can do self-publishing, but if you write, polish your books up, make sure that they're not full of errors and grammatical misspellings and so on and so forth, but get a clean copy and send it out to every publisher that you can find on the internet, and keep trying and don't give up.
And that's very important advice. Once again, author Tom Brewster of The Road to Floradixie on the Mike Wagner Show. Tom, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your books?
Well, like I said, Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all the major book sites, and Beacon Publishing Group, who've been really good to me. And you can check me out on my website, tombrewsterwrites.com. And we even have a sort of a small supply of books that we will send out that are signed if they want to contact us through tombrewsterwrites.com.
That is amazing. Once again, Tom, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely great. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And don't forget to keep in touch. You've been absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you, Mike.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing: Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People Based Upon Real-Life Relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamosinzia.com and www.amazon.com/miamosinzia.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.